Capitol Hill is busy this morning with closed-door testimony from former CIA Director David Petraeus. We heard New York Republican Congressman and Intelligence Committee member Peter King reacting live to what Petraeus told them earlier in the show. Here's a little more of what he said.
The spontaneous aspect is definitely minimized right now. Well, it just is. I mean, it was primarily a terrorist attack. But they also, at the time, prior to September 14th, had clear information that this was strong involvement with al-Qaeda affiliates. And that was not made part of their presentation.
Joining me now, Democratic strategist and former spokesman for the DCCC, Doug Thornell, the New York Times, Jackie Combs, and Roll Call's David Drucker. A great panel. There you see Peter King, not really mincing words, sort of saying that the information coming from the CIA September 14th is way different today. Republicans are holding on to this with very sharp talons. Jackie, how do you see this playing out moving forward?
Well, it's hard to tell because this was like a bigger story before the election than it is now. And you've got this simultaneous action on the fiscal cliff, the violence in Gaza in the middle that's making the Middle East roil. But I think, you know, there'll be a lot of hearings, 3 different committees in the Senate with jurisdiction. I think this is going to go on for a while because it's the one area where the Republicans see some weakness in the president's position. And
that's an interesting thing to say that, because if you look at this, it almost seems like the GOP wants to put this at the forefront, distract from the fiscal cliff where they have less bargaining chips.
Well, that could be the case. I mean, something happened in Benghazi, and I don't think we have all of the answers yet, and there are Democrats that want answers to this.
Right.
Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman Dianne Feinstein wants answers. There are a lot of moving parts. There's probably a lot more information that's going to come out, and I think the question in all of this politically is, does it ever touch the president? What I thought was interesting about his press conference when he defended Susan Rice is he said she was sent out on behalf of the White House. Well, who runs the White House? I mean, and he didn't say state. He didn't say a cabinet agency. I mean, the White House is him, but we still don't know, regardless of what we find out and who's actually responsible, is it ever actually going to touch him? So far, it hasn't.
Doug, do you think that all the hoopla surrounding General Petraeus, obviously for his marital issues, and the same thing with General Allen, coupled with the speculation from Republicans that the reason why he was kicked away was because he wasn't going to testify about Benghazi. Now we have that testimony. But all of this in general has distracted from the fiscal cliff. Does that hurt the Democratic messaging machine that the media constantly is talking about these generals, whether it be for scandal, whether it be about Benghazi?
I don't think so. I think with Petraeus, I think basically you have a situation with him where, you know, he's probably not going to be floated as a presidential candidate anymore in the future, you know. And, you know, he clearly has, you know, I think politically he was a key advisor to the president. The administration's going to miss him there. But overall, I think that there are sex scandals in this town pretty regularly. And it wasn't the first one. It's not going to be the last one. I don't think that this is going to have any long-term effect on Democrats. Remember, David Petraeus was someone that Republicans worship. He was put up there as a potential Republican, you know, presidential candidate. So I don't think that there's going to be
Eisenhower.
Yeah, I don't think that there's going to be much long-term damage.
Let's shift focus now to the fiscal cliff. Obviously, the meeting is about to begin 25 minutes from now. You guys have been around here a while. You've seen a lot of these meetings. It's most likely a photo op before the weekend. But Nancy Pelosi was saying yesterday something I found interesting, that she would welcome a number that both sides could start working towards. And some Republicans also say that. Do you think there's any hope that maybe by just November, the end of November, there could be consensus on, okay, here's the top line where we're going to write the bill to, or write some sort of agreement bill? You think that's possible?
I don't want to minimize the difficulty ahead, but I definitely think and get the impression from everything that both sides have said post-election that there is some hope here in part, and greater hope for an agreement in the shorter term. There will be a lot of work that would have to be done next year to fill in the details, but more of a chance of a deal now, since you have the same cast of characters back at the table, than you would have if Mr. Romney would have been elected, because they know each other, they've talked about these issues before, they've already winnowed down the issues.
going to be fascinating that becomes true. We're going to talk more. We're going to get Mr. Drucker's opinion about this, as well as Mr. Thornell. But first, we have